So in this lesson we're going to look at Java loops. I've written a program here to help us with our 12 times table. So first I've defined two variables, a and b. A is 1 and b is 12. And then in this block of code here I've got 5 outputs to the console. Now system out print will print without adding a new line character at the end, and system out print line will add a new line character at the end. So this first one is outputting a, and then multiplied by b equals, and then a times b. Then I'm adding 1 onto a by using the plus plus operator, and I'm doing the whole thing again, and I'm doing this 6 times. So if I run the program, we see 1 times 12 equals 12, 2 times 12 equals 24, 3 times 12 equals 36, up to 6 times 12 equals 72. Now you can imagine that you may want to do something in programming where you do something a million times or tens of thousands of times, and it would be impossible to, well, it would be maybe possible, but it would be ridiculous to write out this sort of thing again and again. So what we can do is we can use a loop. So what we can say, there's 3 types of loop in Java. There's a while loop, a do while loop, and then there's a for loop. So I'll go through each of these and convert this program to use each of these 3 different styles of loop. So what we can say is while, and then in brackets we put a condition when we want our loop to stop. So what we want to do is we want to do this block of code, and then we want to repeat it again and repeat it again until something has happened. So what that something will be, because we want to go up to 6 times 12, we want to say while a is less than 7, because at the end of the loop a gets 1 added to it, and then we don't want to do the loop again when a gets to 7. So while a is less than 7, do the printing, a is initialized to 1, increment a at the end, and then we put the curly brackets after the while loop to say where the block of code which is in our loop is, and that is it. We can now delete the rest of our code, and we've reduced that slightly long program into a much shorter one. When we run it, it does exactly the same thing as before. So that's a while loop. We say while this condition is true, do this, and keep doing it until that condition is no longer true. The other loop, which is very similar, is a do while. So we can say do and then no condition, and we put the condition at the end while a is less than 7. Now this is slightly different. It depends whether so do while will always do this the first time, and then we'll think about whether we want to do it again at the end, whereas the standard while loop will only do it the first time if the condition is true. So it's really just where we put the condition, whether it's at the start and the end. And I actually never use a do while loop. I've never really missed not using it. I've just actually never used it. I've always managed to use the while loop where I want it to work, but I do use the while loop a lot. And then there's another type. Let's put a back to 1. Well, actually, let's not put a back to 1, because the third type of loop is a for loop, where we'll just comment out this whole thing for now. Commenting out, by the way, is just switching the whole block of code into a comment, so it doesn't run anymore. So the third loop is a for loop. Now there is a new type of for loop now in modern Java, but we're going to look at the original for loop, where we say for, and then in brackets we have an initialization condition. So let's say our initialization condition could be int a equals 1, and then we put a semicolon, and in the next, after the semicolon, we put the expression like in the while loop that we want to continue looping until this expression is true. So the expression was a is less than 7, and then in the third one we get to put something that we want to do after each loop. So I can put a plus plus this line here. We've actually saved ourselves a line there. So what we're saying, I'll put this code back in and uncomment it. So what we say is for a is 1, for a is less than 7, a plus plus. So we start off with a equals 1. We're going to loop while a is less than 7. And we're going to stop looping. We're going to stop looping when a equals 7. After each loop, we're going to add 1 onto a. So let's just run that. Errors exist. I've not got B because I commented B out. Let's run that. So the effect is just the same. So that's the for loop. Now what goes in, we can actually miss things out of here. So if we were to put, for example, for the condition, if we were to put true in there and run it, then we'll just do our times table, 12 times table forever, because this condition is always true. And we can miss out one of these parameters altogether. So for example, if we say a plus plus, we can miss that out, and then we'll just get 1 times 12 forever. But sometimes we'd want to miss out parameters like that because maybe we'd want to do something with a plus. Maybe we want to do something special with a depending on other conditions. So that now I've put that a plus plus there, it's back to the way it was. Now there's 2 additional commands that work in all 3 of these loops. So the 3 loop types are the while loop, the do while loop, and the for loop. There's 2 special commands that go with this. There's a break and a continue. Now what a continue does is we can say if I'll demonstrate what a continue does here for if a equals 2. We'll say if a equals 2, continue. Now what continue means is skip everything beneath it and just continue with the next iteration of the loop. So what I'm expecting this to do is a equals 1, a is not 2, so we're not going to continue. Let's say 1 times 12 equals 12. When a equals 2, I'm just going to skip the 2. So I'm expecting it to say 1 times 12, 3 times 12, and 4, 5, and 6 times 12. Because the a equals 2 has said continue on the next loop. So there, we've missed 2 times 12 because we've just continued. And the other thing we can do is break. So if a equals 2, break. Now what this means is break out of the loop, stop running in the loop. So now we're going to come through 1 times 12. When a equals 2, we're going to break out of that loop altogether. Okay, so that's 3 types of loop: the while loop, the do loop, and the for loop, the basic type of for loop, and the 2 break and continue keywords. Thanks for watching.